Hello, everybody. Welcome to CoinFund Q&A with Docai. We have Sam Rosenblum joining us today. Sam, welcome. Thank you for joining. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Docai and the project you're working on?
Yeah. So I'm Walter de Brouwer, Jake. I think you got the wrong name. I'm Walter de Brouwer.
Oh, I apologize. Walter,
okay,
welcome.
Yeah, it's okay.
I have Sam on the invite.
Yeah. That's Sam. She's here. Yeah.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Likewise.
So do you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves and Docai?
Yeah. So about ourselves, we've been entrepreneurs for a long time. So for more than 20 years, actually, ever since we married. So our latest project is actually a project we've, if you really would go back, we're working on it since 2005, like thinking it through. And but in April 2016, we really started to think about it more definitely, and we set up the company in August 2016. So we're now actually 17 months old. And so the idea is that, so we started with bringing AI into healthcare, so that basically you create a sort of a healthcare 2.0, with new patients, new doctors, a new system. And how would that work? And so that's why the company is called doc.ai. So people always think I live on an island with that AI, but it's the AI for artificial intelligence, of course.
So maybe before diving into specifically the the functionality of Docai, would it make sense to kind of reason about what are some of the issues in healthcare today that inform these changes?
Sure. So there are a few issues that are pretty important that everybody is talking about for years now. So number one, clearly people are not empowered with their health data. It's very hard to access your medical data. It's very hard to understand it. It's number-based. It's a lot of terminology that people don't understand. Healthcare can be very expensive on every side. So everybody is always thinking about money. Can I afford it? And of course, there is also a huge shortage. So there is a shortage of general practitioners in the US. There is a shortage of genetic counselors, which is even worse. In the US, people see a doctor average 6 minutes per year. What can you do in 6 minutes? Your health is much more important than only giving it 6 minutes. So all those things is ground for us to work on. So it's about access, it's about empowerment, and it's about scalability. And those are things that can be solved by technology today.
And why do you think that, or I should say, would you feel that process has been taking a long time in the healthcare field? Or are there forces just working against it?
Well, I think you see that's so the irony is that everyone in the healthcare sector thinks it doesn't work, except in their little field. There it works. That's how it works. So there are all sorts like little islands and silos, and they think it doesn't work in a macro system, but their particular thing does work. So we basically need new players and a new infrastructure.
Yeah, and also, there are two other things that are really that are not sustainable anymore for people. It is that simple. Number one, the entire healthcare system has been built in a way that you get rewarded if you are sick. So it's more sick care than healthcare. That's actually a concept that has been discussed a lot those last year. And also, everybody, you are the one generating the medical data coming out of your body, right? So everybody has access and can work with it and can actually even monetize it, but you. I mean, this is, and the funny thing is that this is something we accept when it comes to health. This is something we would not accept for a bank account or any other type of data, but somehow health has been, people have not been included in the equation for so many decades simply because it sounds very complex. Now, the thing is that medicine is becoming very complex for everybody. So we see two worlds merging. The fact that now this not only we are able to capture more data from our bodies, we are using devices generating much more data. So we're talking about zettabytes of data that nobody is able to process anymore, even not doctors. And so we need machines, we need AI to help everybody understand what that data means, what those numbers means, and to comprehensive narratives around that data.
Got it.
For it to become actionable.
And so it sounds like there's maybe a couple of approaches here. One is sort of the logistics and data of healthcare. This is how you set up appointments. This is how you keep track of your records. Another vector is actually measuring, using all of the devices that we now have, from Apple Watches to smartwatches to, devices that are wearables that can measure things like biometric data and actually using that for diagnosis or just getting statistics around, health of the general population. So how do you see Doc.ai fitting into, that scheme?
Yeah. So I have a neo-Darwinist view of healthcare. That is, just if you think like, what does nature, when do we survive? So basically, there are 3 steps. So the first step is any creature in nature survives if it actually collects data about its environment and then processes that data to have predictions what's going to happen, the more anticipation, and then based on that, change its behavior. Then we are rewarded to reproduce. So basically, that's collection, prediction, change of behavior.
Yeah. And so that's what Docai does. So our core technology is we use natural language, and so we build natural language around quantified biology. Any health results that is number-based, a machine can understand, the AI can understand, and so we build a natural language around it. And so it's very variable because it gives you. So the AI helps you capture and aggregate the data, which is all over the place. And secondly, it helps you understand what that data means and how it connects with all other pool of data sets. And it helps you make actionable decisions.
Got it. So is it, what does it look like? Does that look like a set of recommendations that I get on a regular basis about what I should do? Or?
Yeah. So basically, this is the sort of flow, because in the normal healthcare system, which is what I call an atoms system, everything is palpable. There are people, there is hospitals, there are doctors, there are medical records. In our world, we sort of fork that. So in our world, there is only data. And with that data, you collect that data, and then data scientists are making a model, and then you go to the world of atoms. So you are a lot more documented. Now, how does that work? You go to, you send the public, it's a public address. You put a mail, you get a private address, and so you are actually talking to your AI. And when I say talking, it's on text. We can put voice later, but that's a complexity factor. So now it's on your phone or on your laptop, and it says, "Hello, I'm your AI," and it already asks you to log in if you want with your GitHub, with your Facebook, with your Twitter, whatever, and it starts to predict. For instance, if I log in with my Facebook, it's going to predict, it knows where I live. It's going to see what the groundwater is, what would be then not beneficial for my health, how the ozone layer is, The next thing it says, okay, let's use the camera in your phone. Go to your medicine cabinet. You take a picture of your medicine cabinet. It gets all these medications. It said, okay, now I see this is what you are taking. So these are probably your conditions, Do you have any blood results? Or, you just take a picture of whoop, these blood results in. Then take a picture of yourself. Okay, I predict, so these are your anatomics, your BMI, you're probably paying so much, and people love the magic because, of course, they correct it, and so they train the machine, they train their own AI. Okay, let's now go scraping, one was your, did you do sequencing? 23andMe? Okay, just put in your password, and whoop, it takes all the raw data. Go to microbiome, go to 3-year blood results. What are your medical records? Okay, I'll take the notes of the doctors, and it structures it all. And it ends with a sort of a questionnaire where it says, like, what are your vaccines, your screenings? And it says, okay, I'm done. I can do it now. This is your structured set. From now on in your phone, you have everything. And you have it. It's decentralized. And from now, if you want, we are a society of data scientists, developers ready. They can actually, make a model of your health. Or if you have a problem, like for instance tinnitus, you have tinnitus. There are 10,000 people in our network that have tinnitus. If you want to put it together and look for your doctor house to do predictive modeling on your data, and you put. Everyone puts $100 together. That if you have 1,000 people, that's $100,000. You will have, a predictive model, and then you can go to your healthcare provider, to your doctor, and says like, look, here is all my information, neatly structured. This is, evidence-based. What the machine says. What do you think?
Got it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the technology, or more specifically, blockchain technology. What is the relationship between this kind of AI system and blockchain here?
Yeah. So well, it's actually we are using in the beginning we're just going to use the blockchain. The smart contract was just going to be cryptographically verifying the payouts, because we want to pay people with our currency to put in data, and that data, and that currency that they have, so actually we reverse the model. Instead of people paying us, we pay them to train their AI, and then with that money, with that currency, they can pay the data scientists to do predictive modeling. So now, so that's simply the transaction. We want to actually supplement that with another contract, and that contract would actually be all the data sets that I put on it. Like, for instance, when I say, here are my blood results, that's a third party that I scrape this from. And this is also a transaction. I want the provenance of that data set also on the blockchain. Because then, if I do that and I own it and I can prove the provenance, I can sell it. And that's another payout, and that's what we call bio wallet. So a bio wallet is, you will have an algorithm, the smart contract will have an algorithm. On the other side, you have pharma, you have the healthcare industry. They really need new organic data, non-industrialized, from real people. And they're willing to pay for it. So you will have on your screen, for instance, if you click now, $147 for using your data. Do you want it? Yes or no? Yeah. Click, bam, smart contract verifies, sends the provenance. This is where the data sets come from. This is legit. Okay, payout comes. That's how it works.
Got it. So it sounds like there's a provenance model where you're basically allowing users to monetize their biometric data, and then there's a crypto economic model where you're compensating users for providing data.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how that works. So can you tell us a little bit about the token and that you're anticipating here, and how that gets issued and distributed to users?
Yeah. So we have 800 and actually in our brain, we have 86 billion neurons. So I wanted to actually issue 86 billion neurons, but tokens, NRN. But apparently the exchanges don't have enough digit positions. And it would be a sort of a nano stock, then. So we issue 860 million neurons. So for every real neuron, there is, for every currency neuron, there is 100 real neurons. So I hope in 10 years, a neuron will be $100, so that then every real neuron will be $1 cent, or probably one crypto dollar cent, because there will not be any encrypted money. And so basically paying the people, the more they go into the levels of data sets, and the more they can prove the provenance, the more they will gain, and we'll have like a matrix of what, this is simple, an algorithm that says if it completes that, if I have a 3 years blood results, it's worth that, 2 years blood results, 1 year blood result. If I have recommendations from the doctor, then it just builds up, and it's actually also, I think, a nice game. I played it myself. So in simulation, you get quickly addicted to putting more data in it, and you think like, okay, like 7 more, and I'm going to that. It's sort of a progress bar of data, and but then I think the more interesting part is now you have all that data. What will it be? Like you get data scientists who are going to model this. So they are going to model my condition or my health, and how can I change my behavior that I live longer, and then what should I do? And so that these data scientists, that will be a price, like you basically broadcast, this is what I want to solve, and this is what I want to give. So that's the bounty. And the one who, the machine decides on, for instance, the locals or the F1, and what the best model is, and the prize is awarded, and you get the model. And then it gets very interesting to go to your doctor.
Okay, so it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I misheard, but it sounds like you're creating a marketplace where those entities seeking medical data can come and place bounties on different kinds of data, and then users can come in and claim those bounties and basically make a fair compensation for for providing that data. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Are there data sets that are useful only when they reach a certain scale? Like, so you can kind of try to pay people for a particular kind of data, but if you don't get enough results, then it's not, you're not able to have a high enough end for that to be meaningful or something like that. Like, how does that marketplace work?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I'll let you answer.
Okay.
On that. Yeah, that's a great question.
So our with our advisor, one of our advisors, Brett Mills. So we decided, what's that part of humanity that is most served by what we do? Because basically, it is the crowd that gives us a sort of a license to build an infrastructure. So what is and we came up with all these people, we call them idiopathic. Idiopathic is a doctor's word for saying, I don't know what you have, so just live with it or die with it, and perhaps in the future we might find out, but don't count on it. And so just do your activity, sleep well, and hope for the best. So these idiopathic categories are people with mysterious illnesses, people with genetic diseases, people who doctors have given up. So, and we thought these are the first, and they don't have to pay. We'll even pay for the data scientists. So that's a real part of humanity that we just should help, and all the rest can be economy. Then, so very strangely, we found out that these data sets are actually the most valuable because so if you are healthy, it's a pretty boring data set. Nobody wants to buy it. So you just should be lucky that you're healthy. You don't make any money. And that's actually how it came. This is how we are going to set the the network so proclaiming that it's very easy for us. We put so many layers on the AI, and it's going to be an engaging, but we are going to collect data sets that nobody ever collected because they are idiopathic data sets.
Yeah, exactly. And so there are two parts to that. So the first part, what you mentioned, Walter, so I don't think it's all fragmented, but it's there. There are really like so many organizations, group of people. You mentioned a few. We can mention seizures, epilepsy. Yeah. I mean, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people trying to find triggers. And we are communities who already log in so much data, but it's unstructured, it's noisy. Sometimes we see patterns that don't mean anything. So we are kind of dying for, to have data scientists to help us capture better data and have it structured in the way that they can work with it. So I think we already talking with organizations, and organizations are already talking to us. I don't think scalability is a problem when you depart from the model that you have today, but we know that the model that we have today is not helping us. The other part is there is something with the modules that we are building at Doc, conversational AI modules that are very the onboarding process, when you need to enter data in your phone or somewhere, there's something very boring about that because it's very time consuming. You make a lot of errors. You have to transcript numbers. It's just, there's something that is unnatural. And so conversational AI is kind of interesting because it has something very dynamic. You basically, every time you ask Doc.ai something, it's a great opportunity for Doc to ask you a question back. Like, hey, by the way, last time we talked, you were on that medication. How is it going for you? Or last time we talked, you were smoking. Are you still smoking? So it's not a one-time onboarding. It's just, whenever you are ready. And the AI kind of tries to understand, if you're ready to answer certain questions. The other part is, when you capture all that data and have it structured for predictive modeling for data scientists, you also get a lot of feedback from those data scientists telling you, hey, we need to structure that data that way, or we need that type of data. And so you are also guided, and the learning process is for everybody.
And this will also mean most extensive data sets of medical dialogues, and certainly with people with the machine, but also of medical dialogues. And I think it will be extremely valuable not only for economy, but for everyone.
Yeah. It seems like data collection, has some limitations. It's probably fairly easy to get heart rate data about how much people walk and move and things like that. But when it comes to let's say, getting a vaccination or getting a blood test or some other kind of sort of more invasive procedure that tests for diseases and so forth, it seems like that might be kind of a limitation of the platform. Like, where do you see that boundary to lie?
I think so. Of course, we are in a situation. We are starting in the US, where a lot of these things are already online, via APIs and portals, and in our Telegram. So I have met actually a lot of. I believe that if we really want to open this up to the world, we need almost in every country a developer, and because, so for instance, here we can go to LabCorp or Quest, go to the portal, download but what is that in, how do you do that in Germany? Or how do you do that in New Zealand? So they have to find other ways. And people are really creative of finding these things. And really giving tips like, if you don't have that, you can go there, they do it for free. Even in Africa, so how do you do it in Congo? Well, that's not by accident, I know. But there are many ways, but we need actually people in every country to work with us and to say like, yeah, we added another country,
Okay, but again, more specifically, do you think there's some kinds of data collection that are, either not going to be possible on the platform or not going to be possible short term because, maybe the polling technology is just not available yet?
I don't think so. I think that well, in the next 1 to 3 years, so we're going into, like now, for instance, doubles every year. So, and the mathematical trick about doubling, what I always taught my students is 40 times double is a trillion. It doesn't seem so much, 40 times. But that means in 2026, we have 1 billion genomes. So that means like, 1/9 or 1/8 of the planet. And it's perhaps the power laws are always difficult for us because we have a pretty limited brain. We're actually not really Turing complete. So this will all come in the next 3 years. So, but I agree with Vitalik. You see, and not everyone seems to understand that decentralization is great, but not every process will be decentralized because so many computations are so intense that paralyzing them, the only way to do it will be the cloud. And the cloud, I think, will become, instead of a public toilet, a sort of a private toilet, and all the rest will be decentralized, over the edge.
Got it. So let's talk about the data. And healthcare data has generally been very private data. We have a question here in our chat room. It says, how do you address the trust portion of healthcare? And I think that speaks a little bit to, how is all of this very sensitive data going to be stored in your system? And where is it going to be stored?
Yeah, so we're storing it so on the edge of the system. That means in your device. In your device. That's why we are decentralizing. Otherwise, But for the if you have to train your models, and if you have to do, we have to create parameter servers. And these parameter servers are only a sandbox where you anonymize all the data, then you do predictive modeling, and it goes back into your into your handset. In the handset, I don't mean that in the handset will be all your results, plus they will be logged on the blockchain where to find them. So we won't put any X-rays or MRIs on your handset, but you will know where to find them.
Understood. And we have another question that says, when will this prototype be ready, or when are you going to have a proof of concept? So could you guys talk a little bit about, you mentioned you've been working on this for at least over a year. Can you talk a little bit about like the team and sort of where you are, in terms of development?
Yeah.
So in terms of development, where we are, so we've been working a bit more than a year. So as a company, so I mentioned the different lab tests. What it means is that we intend to cover all the omics, which are blood, phenome, genome with genetics, microbiome, what we call anatome. So today we have two modules in pre-beta. One is selfie to BMI. So you take a selfie and the selfie predicts your BMI by detecting your age, gender, height, and weight. So you don't have to enter that data. We are actually going to push the pre-beta live very soon, web-based, for anyone to train the algorithm with us. Mm-hmm. We already trained it on millions of faces, but we want it to be more inclusive. It's already pretty good, and it's also fun to try. So that's one. The module for blood test is also in pre-beta. It's now being tested by Deloitte Healthcare. So is a B2B company, so we actually license our technology via software as a service. We have a distribution license agreement with Deloitte, and they are testing our two pre-beta now with a first customer. And we are now in full development for genetics. So for sure, 2017, we'll have 3 modules ready, which are selfie to BMI for the anatomics, the blood module, so doc.ai that can read, understand your blood test and have conversations around it. And same thing for genetic tests. Now for the neuron platform and the team, I let you maybe explain.
My background is in computational linguistics. So my AI team, I've actually, well, we are here in Palo Alto, so that's next to Stanford University, because I prefer unsupervised learning more than like supervised learning like Harvard. So in Stanford, you really have, and there is one course, CS 224D. That's so these students that I have from there are, you know, graduate students, but so they have done computer science, and mostly their bachelor's is in physics or in math. So then computer science, all the algorithms, and then 224D is deep learning and natural language. So I have really great people here.
And also recently, so Jeremy Howard, who started as an advisor to Docai at the very beginning, joined us as our chief science officer, and which is great. And so we know Jeremy really well. And so Jeremy founded Analytic. He also founded Kaggle that got sold to Google, which is, you know, that platform with all the data scientists working on predictive models. So he knows a lot about that. He has that very sweet spot for health, like us. He's also the co-founder with Rachel, his wife, of Pass.ai, which is a deep learning course online that I recommend to everybody. It's really, really good.
It's for people who know Python.
Yeah, you can also learn Python. If you don't know Python, you learn. I mean, you know, you have to start somewhere. But the idea of, you know, democratizing deep learning is I think very interesting. And so yeah, we are about 17 people now.
Nice, that's awesome. Congratulations, guys. And my understanding is that you will be heading for a token sale. Is that correct? Based on this on these neuron tokens.
Yes. So the Crowdsale starts the 28th.
So we started the pre-sale. So we still have 10 days to go, and the Crowdsale, yeah, indeed. And so for the distribution, we have 37% sold in the token sale. We keep 33% for distribution to incentivize the ecosystem, and 30% retained by Docai. And we have a cap of 30 million.
Nice, very cool. So do you suppose that so the crowd sale funds are going to go toward developing the product and getting out to market, and the 30% pre-allocation for the company, that's sort of your long-term business model?
Yeah, so I believe that, so first of all, you know, like for the crowd sale, that's, you know, we are selling this to the public because basically it's a public asset that we are building. Then for the system tokens, as we say, that's, you know, for for partners. That's why also I want to, in every country, you know, have developers but also, you know, companies in these countries. Just suppose that in Nigeria there is one hospital that does all the blood tests. Well, you know, like that would be a great partner. And then 30% is for the company. We leave that as a reserve in the company. We sort of, you know, did it like Civic. It's I think it's a good idea and the company, we're in Silicon Valley. It's mostly, you know, like a 1-year cliff and 3-year vesting. So it's very meritocratic, you know. If you disappear before 1 year, yeah, then you have nothing. And if you know, you build up and you invest in the thing you do, then you are. And most of these things is what we can do with currencies. We're just at the beginning of this, because I believe there will be, in the next 6 months to a year, will be perhaps half converted in equity or equity in currency, and we'll probably have mergers of currencies because you put communities together, and because it's now all about, you know, the joke was, so in Europe everyone is an enemy, and we come from Europe, everyone is an enemy in competition. So in Silicon Valley it's frenemies, But now on the blockchain, it's all friends.
Interesting. So, you know, when folks buy into this early opportunity for tokens, I mean, obviously they're supporting your investment capital, so you can bring the product to market. Why do they hold this token long term? Do they anticipate that this is going to be something that they're going to use on the platform as users, or is there a case for token appreciation over time? In other words, I'm asking, you know, what drives the demand for Neuron tokens over the long term?
Yeah, I think so. What drives it is, first of all, how I see it is health is an infrastructure that only has two singularities. You are born and you die. So that's a pretty long-term view on. So I would keep my tokens because I will always need them. And if you buy them in the beginning, they're actually very cheap, and I will spend them. So because that's we are all a bell curve, a state machine that goes, so that's how I see it. Secondly, I think it's if you are looking at blockchain plus AI plus health, this is the future. Like appreciation. So, and as a company and the biggest token holder, we will work very hard to make that appreciate. And also, and Marina and I will actually function as central bankers for these currencies, but I also think that making more, every time I put more data sets on, I make more money. I think that's by investing in my health. My health becomes a financial asset. And I think that's really powerful, because up to now it was a cost center, my health. And now it becomes an asset and it serves me. Yeah. And I can brag about it in the bar. Look at all my data sets.
Yeah, and this is really amazing, because what you just described, the tools that we have now to make it happen, it's like every year there are new things coming, but we're really talking about truly transformational technologies and technologies that are infrastructure, allowing us to build for the long term. And so it's a different way to look at health. Your health is an asset. It's not a way that has been possible so far. But guess what? The way we've been developing healthcare so far is not really sustainable anymore. And so now things need to change. It's not always easy, because healthcare, there are no shortcuts. It's always very long. But somehow I think that when we started an AI company building conversational modules. We've always been following the blockchain and the Bitcoin, because we love it and we think it's fascinating. But when
and our fate was rewarded.
when the concept of cryptocurrency came up, we thought, wow, this might be the missing link in that dynamic that we are trying to put together. Because what we described is a platform where you have different layers. You have people like you and I struggling with health issues for yourself or your family, your kids or your parents, whatever. At a certain point in time, we all struggle with something in health that is not always solved or solvable, or it takes time or whatever, for all the reasons we mentioned, the problems we mentioned in healthcare. When it comes to data science, a lot can be done today in data science. But what data scientists are telling us is we don't have access to the right set of data. We need more data, we need structured data, we need clean data, and so on. So that's another problem. And all the data scientists in the world, they have jobs, but they're all looking at extra incentive, to have an impact on true problem with these skills. And the third layer are the providers of healthcare. And so it's very hard to do anything in healthcare if you don't have those three pools. And so the healthcare providers, the payers, you want them to be involved because they bring scale, and they can also help us reverse the dynamic. And they are actually very interesting. And so that's why I think that being a B2B company working with those large corporations and sharing already what we're doing and hearing that they like the concept and that they would like to participate on such a platform is very exciting for us.
Excellent. Thank you for that explanation. And you know, I just want to say, so like one of the core kind of issues that we study at CoinFund with respect to token offerings is this idea of crypto economics. And one of the basic things you want to be able to understand about a token is, you know, what drives the supply of this token and what drives the demand for this token. And so you've covered like a couple of different participants of your system, right? You have users who are providing data. You have basically a data acquisition process going on for people who want to study the data. Then you have healthcare providers that are, you know, perhaps acting on the data. But my question is, you know, so far I think we've heard that people seeking data might be able to use this token as bounties, and therefore that might necessitate for them to go to the market and purchase that token. So that's a demand driver for tokens. Can you guys talk a little bit about whether there are other use cases, you know, perhaps involving the other participants, where they're also driving the demand for neurons?
Yeah, I think just you know, in one of the use cases we discussed, and I really believe that so the future of clinical trials is data trials where n equals 1. You know, like the trial about myself. But sometimes, you know, like when we think we're unique, we're actually all the same. So when I want to, just suppose that I want to search something for, I want to collect data on my child. You know, that was one of the use cases. And I find out that there are 1,000 people that have the same problem and they see a child suffering. Now, I'm sure that of these 1,000, not everyone will have neurons. So they will have to get you know, buy neurons, which is, you know, like, it's like dollar, they just exchange it to go into that process. And that's how actually the base will organically grow. Because also, as with our sale, we didn't, you know, we as a security, you know, for accredited investors, only in the US, it is an organic growth for people who believe in us. It's not going to be everyone in the world who wants to, you know, just make some easy buck. This is a longer term infrastructure project.
Got it. Walter and Sam, thank you very much for joining and telling us about Docai. As a parting thought, where should our viewers go to learn more about your project and follow along? And is there any final thoughts that you have on this interesting area of healthcare intersecting with blockchain?
So for everything is on our website. We have our white paper, our brochure, our PPM, and so it's tokencell.doc.ai. You can also access it via our website, doc.ai. We are on Telegram, so you can also reach out to us there. Of course, email info@doc.ai, pre-sale @doc.ai. Yeah, so we're super responsive.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. And again, thanks for joining, and good luck with your sale. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Following your progress.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Bye-bye.